What's up, good people? I looked in the chat and right out the gate, a massive smile on my face because I saw Shambrika is in the house. She said, what's up, right? Benita, I saw you. You were waiting before we even got started. My sis Kira, right, is here. Amiria, Javad, I see you. Sade, here we go. Anna, can I say this? I was talking to our guest, Angela, just right before we got started. And she asked the same question that I asked when we started. And that was, are there people still on Periscope? Look right here. Look, Angela, you can see it. There are folks still on Periscope. What's going on, guys? Ricardo, I see you. Sebastian, I see you. Kavan, you're going to love this one. This is all about tech, or not all about tech, but for the most part about tech. You're going to love it. Ron Foster, I see you. LinkedIn, I see you. Facebook, I see you. YouTube, I still see you, right? Periscope, I see you. So, real quick, guys, let's do a quick temperature check on how do you feel right now, today versus last Friday, right? Today versus last Friday. Because last Friday, I was feeling real heavy, real dragged, very emotional. Today, quite honestly, I'm feeling even more optimistic, even more uplifted. And quite honestly, what is driving, I think, my stance of just feeling good is not necessarily because of what I see the world doing. But for the most part, I know we have a lot of Black entrepreneurs all over the world that watch this. We got everybody who watches this, which I'm appreciative of. But we have a lot of Black entrepreneurs in particular. And what I will say, what I am most excited about, what I see today, is I see us coming together to support each other like I've never witnessed in my entire life, right? And that's only good because I always preach political power follows economic power. So I really like what we're seeing. Let's start with some real, look at this. Tiffany saying she feels good. All right, let me check in real quick. I don't want to just say that and skip over it. Tiffany's feeling real good. All right, we got optimistic. Uh-oh. My man Milton's feeling the same. We got somebody tell Milton Jackson a joke real quick. Somebody tell him a joke, make him smile. Milton's not feeling real good today, right? I see Ricardo's feeling extremely positive. Let's check in real quick on YouTube. All right, YouTube. I see you. I see the hashtags, but tell me how you feeling, right? Anna just said she's feeling incredibly hot, right? Okay, that's fine. I like this right here. Hello, not as heavy, a bit more motivated to make the right moves individually for things to move us as a group. Absolutely. All right. So somebody tell Milton a joke real quick so he could get excited. But let's hit the announcements so we could bring our guest on. All right. Hey, look, hold on. He's at least laughing right here. We got to smile on his. I feel like his profile even changed. I feel like his last profile, he was upset. And how he changed his profile photo already. It looks like he's smiling. All right. So let's do this. Let me do some announcements. Several of these announcements, I believe, will make you smile. And then we're going to get right into our guest, okay? So the first thing is, share the video, right? Share the love. Today is our first one-on-one. We've done 26 of these Better with Paul sessions. We have never had a one-on-one. I'm excited for this particular one-on-one, and I'll tell you why in a second. So make sure you're sharing the love. So thank you for that. Next up is, our list. We have a long list right here, right? We have people that are already talking about different panels they want to host, different people reaching out for entertainment, different people reaching out to be service providers. One person reached out and committed that if you want to renew your vows, they will be renewing vows. Like, we're going to do it all. Jamaica 2021, make sure that you are on the list. We will be sending out an email, the first email for Jamaica 2021 retreat this weekend. So make sure that you're on the list. Next up is, I opened the mastermind. Finally, once a year, do a mastermind, new business growth, and then so existing business growth, then also thought leadership. Make sure you jump into this. And last up on the announcements, you're going to like this. I was thinking about what we could better do to support us, right? The community who watches Better with Paul. And then one of our folks, Erasmus, I don't know if you're watching right now, but Erasmus mentioned, he was like, Paul, he slid into the DMs, So you could slide into the DMs on a positive note, y'all. He slid in, he was like, look, what we should do is we should figure out a way that we could almost pitch to each other to support each other. So I took that idea and I riffed on it and I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do is next week, and I'm going to do this on Monday, and I'll announce all the specific rules on Sunday night because I need to think about this a little bit more. But on Monday, I'm going to allow it to be pitch day on Monday. And what you can do is you'll be able to come on for 90 seconds and you'll be able to pitch your business. Now, you could pitch simply because you want to make people aware of what you're doing, right? Which, so we could buy your product and service. So that's fine, right? It could be basically a promotion and advertisement for your business. Or you could pitch because maybe you realize that you need a partner, right? We talked a lot about the importance of having co-founders, the importance of understanding that you are probably not built to run everything yourself. So if you need to have help, right? Like Shambrika had talked about in previous sessions, you could pitch for help. You could pitch for not even, partnership help. You could pitch for internship help, right? You could even pitch, we have to be careful because of the rules, but you could even pitch for funding. If you want some low-level investment, $500,000, $2,000, I'm going to open this up on Monday, 90 seconds. Everybody gets an opportunity to come on and pitch. So this is what we're going to do on Monday. I will think specifically about the logistics of it, and I will send that out on Sunday. But Monday is pitch day. All right, Monday's pitch day. How do we like about? All right, YouTube likes it. There we go. All right, we like it. All right, we like it. Okay, Kay likes it. Okay, Maria likes it. Okay, here we go. All right, we like it. We like it. Okay, so there we go. There we go. And of course, I love a good idea. So if you have ideas on how to better perfect pitch day, let me know. Kavan, I saw the spreadsheet that you put together. If you think there's a way to take your spreadsheet idea and connect it with this, let me know. All right. So Jamaica loves the idea. That's all I need to know. All right. Let's get right into our guest. Okay. So here's what's going down today. Notice that I mentioned we've never had a one-on-one with Paul yet. Let me tell you why we're doing the one-on-one today. And I want to make sure that I am taking you with me on this journey. Because remember, none of this was planned. When lockdown started, I literally jumped on live just to figure out how I could be supportive to everybody. And here we are, 26 sessions or episodes, however you want to call this, later. And we've actually built a platform out of Better with Paul, where we have now retreats. We got all kinds of things out of these 26 sessions. So now I've talked a lot about how Better with Paul will not continue in this format. And we're going to move to a podcast format. Now, I will figure out a way to keep some type of live interaction going, but we will, for the most part, move to a podcast. And when we move to a podcast, which will be soon, by the way, but when we move to the podcast, I really want to continue to have conversations. But more important to me is having one guest to go deep, because all of the guests that we've brought on, you could see that they have a lot. I mean, they're dynamic. There's a lot of knowledge that they have, a lot that they have to offer. And when we have 3 panelists or 4 panelists, they literally get about 6-7 minutes of time, and that's it. So we're going to be switching. So logistically, this is where I wanted to go anyway, right? Is to really focus on one-on-one, so you will be able to learn more, because ultimately this is about you becoming better. All right. So now, earlier this week and last week, you saw me come on, and I was very vocal about how the mainstream media was playing up to this hype of, Bank of America allocating $1 billion, Andreessen Horowitz allocating $2.2 million, right? You saw me, SoftBank, offering up, I think, 100 million, right? When they put several billions into just one company, WeWork, but they're offering up the 100 million to Black founders. And you saw me come on here, and I was upset about this. And I said, basically, these are platitudes. This is positioning for PR purposes. And I truly don't believe their interest is in helping and helping to support Black business. I think they were basically trying to just, they were trying to save face, right? And to the most part, kudos to them from a PR standpoint, they won, right? I saw CNN talking about it, and here in the UK, right, the Telegraph was talking about it, and the Guardian was talking about it. So they got that check. They won the PR strategy. But to me, it's insulting, right? Now, right after I'd mentioned this, I saw that a dear friend of mine, who I consider her my sister, right? She then posts about basically in the same vein, but hers is even a more emotional, because she went through a particular experience with a venture capitalist, and then she sees that same VC go online and talk about how they plan to do A, B, and C, but how basically they're saving face. And what she did versus what I've not seen anyone else do yet, especially in Silicon Valley, is she called them out publicly. She went on Twitter. She said, look, you did me wrong. You most likely did other people wrong. I don't accept what you are saying right now. You need to do better. And I love that. And so I immediately shot her a message and I said, you need to come on to Better with Paul and talk about that. Talk about how we can, should, or perhaps we even shouldn't be, right? Maybe we should just be focusing on ourselves, but should we be holding allies accountable? But then on top of it, this guest, this is someone who I wanted to have on the podcast anyway, because I think her story is incredible. I truly believe that when, the history books are written, especially around Black people in technology, that her name will be at the forefront of that book, right? And so let's bring her on, okay? I want to say this too, in terms of questions, because this is going to be a one-on-one session, and so I won't be able to get real deep into the questions. But if you have questions as we go along, please make sure that you are entering those questions in. And I'm going to do my best to catch these questions. There's so much that we'll be able to pull from this guest. And just to give you a little bit of the topics that I want to touch on with this guest, just to get your mind rolling, is, so she is someone who has created several successful businesses. So one, just from a business building standpoint, this is someone who we can get insight from. She's also received funding from some of the biggest companies in the world, Google, et cetera, right? So we can get insight on how to secure funding, right? Also, she's partnered with some of the biggest names in the world. Issa Rae, I think, is one of the investors in her current business, right? So we could talk about that, right? We can also talk about what her current business does, which it's all about data and how data truly is our currency. And we should be owning our data, and we should be making money from our own data, because other companies make money from our data. So we can talk about that. On top of all of this, this is someone who has seen the shift of technology over the years, right? So we could talk about that. I love the fact that she is a mom. So, and I know a lot of you all are moms, a lot of you all are single moms. So we could talk about how she's able to balance all of this. And then on top of all of this, she is a cancer survivor. And I think we'd be remiss not to talk about that, because we all have incredible challenges that we have to deal with as professionals. And this is someone who's gone through, I think, one of the hardest challenges in the world and survived. And so we could talk about all those things. I mean, we could talk about everything. I think we could probably talk about hip hop music. We could talk about everything. This is Angela Benton. Angela.
Paul, thank you so much for that intro. I mean, I'm speechless. Every time I hear it back like that, I'm like, who are they talking about? And it's like, oh, they're talking about me. But thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Like, this is an honor. I was telling Jill right before I walked in, I was like, Jill, I'm just so excited just to sit and talk to Angela. Like, I haven't talked to her in years.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah. Now, so here's the thing, Angela, quiz. When was the last time we saw each other?
Oh man, I can't remember. I don't know why I want to say maybe was it in DC?
No, it was in New Orleans
Oh, right, at Essence.
at Essence. It was
Yes,
it was at Essence. I was with my man Andre, who passed away.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and we bumped into you,
yes.
and you I think you were going to the Power NOLA event.
Yep,
I think so. I was just coming from it, right?
yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what Andre, my friend Andre said after we crossed path, right? And you went my friend Andre, who was single at the time, he was single at the time, right? Andre said, that is a woman. He was like, that is a woman. And he was talking about everything about you, everything that you exude, right?
Yeah,
I mean, just everything. And so there's so many places that we can go about
yeah.
you, but let's just talk about right now in the moment. Your current company right now, Streamlytics, right,
Mhm.
is all about data and data ownership,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Can you just break down for us, why should we even be thinking about data? Why is that even important for us?
So when I was thinking of what to work on next after NewMe, like what was going to be the next phase of my career in technology, um, I really looked at the landscape, particularly for people of color, and actually, I'm not even going to say people of color, what Black people do in technology, and a lot of times it's at the
Oh,
content
I'm sorry, Angela. Can I just stop you really? Because I'm gonna be interrupting you this entire time. But
level.
can I just underscore? You just did something that I believe we all need to do. We
Mhm.
kind of group Black people as within the basket of people of color,
Right.
but you specifically no Black people.
And I have to catch myself because the reason why I say people of color is from conditioning, being in Silicon Valley, and them saying when I started New Me, it was an accelerator for Black people. And then they're like, well, what about other groups? What about people of color? And I was a little bit younger then, I'm 39, I'll be 40 next year, but I was maybe around 30 at this time. And I was like, I respected a lot of people there. So I'm like, you're right. But now it's just, going through cancer, just going through everything I've been through in my life so far. It's you come to a moment in your life where you don't care. You just don't care. And so I watched the diversity in tech movement get co-opted by other groups where it started out Black and then it became about white women. And so I have a responsibility as a leader to be very clear about who I'm talking about, because people of color, we could be talking about Indians, Asians, and the fact of the matter, they're not underrepresented in tech
There
at
you go.
all.
There you
You
go.
know what I mean? So we have to be clear about what we're talking about. So uh, the Black community tends to work on things around content. So when I'm talking about content, it'll be music or entertainment or applications at the application level. What's powerful about a lot of the technology companies now is their platforms, but it's very hard to build a huge platform. So really, I kind of looked at the stack of what does it take for technology to actually be successful. And I knew I wanted to work on something that was at the infrastructure level, right? And so even at the ISP level, all of that is reliant on data,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
And so when you're thinking about the future of technology, and where things are going, data is not something that's going to be aged out. It's never going to go away. You know what I mean? And when you also think about um, the population growth and the demographic change that's happening, and those numbers are coming from communities of color. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean? It's just I went kind of down a rabbit hole. The deeper and deeper and deeper I got, it's like, oh, I'm seeing a source here. Oh, the IMF and the World Bank are saying that, there's going to be 1 billion more people on the planet between now and 2050, and most of those people are coming out of Africa. So now we're talking about the Black diaspora, right?
Right.
And so now we're talking about who really actually has control and power over what happens in our lives. And we may not be able to play the game, the Facebook game, but we can for sure play the data game, because data is based on people, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so the idea around data ownership is not new. There are a lot of data privacy conversations that are happening, but I think, the Black community specifically is in a unique position, primarily because our culture is pop culture at this moment. And a lot of people make a lot of money off of Black culture, and Black culture is essentially data. So what we're buying, that's a data point. What we're wearing, that's a data point. If we're walking, like where we're going, if we're walking from point A to point B, if we're frequenting a specific establishment, all of these things that happen in our everyday lives, those are all data points, and they're driving what everyone is doing today, but it's not coming back into our community. So I particularly think, while Streamlytics is not solely focused on the Black community, I made a decision to say, you know what, when we release our consumer facing applications, we're doing it for the Black community first.
Gotcha.
Because any money that's made needs to be transferred back into that community first.
You know what, let's go back to one thing that you just said so that people really understand this, is that you were breaking down how everything that we do, basically, not just online, but walking from point A to point B is a data point.
Right.
So for example, everyone who's commenting right now, this is a data point.
Those are data points. Yeah. When you open your phone, everybody has their phone or an Apple Watch or a tablet. There's a ton of data that is being stored on this that is about you. And if anyone watches Westworld or anything sci-fi, you can tell I'm a nerd. If anybody watches anything like that, you can really start to get an understanding of where the future is going, right? With artificial intelligence, that is going to be powering everything in the future. It's powering a lot now. But the issue is, artificial intelligence only works if it has data.
Right.
But who owns the data?
Right.
If you buy a car and it's Tesla's a computer. Who owns the data? Who owns the location data from where you're driving to? You or Tesla? You know what I mean?
And
so,
break down for us. Okay, I think we understand the data. Now, how are entities making money from the data? And then how does then Streamlytics and culture help us to tap into that?
Sure. So there's something called a data brokerage market. And there's a lot of huge companies. Nielsen is one of them. Axiom is one of them. These are companies that have, multi-billion-dollar market caps. They are in the business of acquiring data and selling it. How they acquire data is a lot of different ways. So it may be through tracking what you're doing online, that you have no idea that you're really being tracked. They may buy data from other data sources like a Facebook or something like that. So they have, it also includes, your credit information. You know what I mean? It's literally any piece of data that you have as an individual. They are in the business of buying and selling that data. And it's kind of like a black market right now. It's a public thing, like people know it's happening, but it's very, very kind of covert. What we're doing at Streamlytics is essentially we are turning the idea of a data transaction, right? So the transfer or the buying of selling of data between business to business, we're changing that from consumer to business. And so why we're doing that is because it's very important that you own your own data And then just in the United States, just January 1st, California Consumer Protection Act went into play, which actually forces many of these large companies to actually give you access to your data by law. We do not have a federal data privacy law, number one, which is terrible. We're the largest Western country that does not have a federal data privacy law. And so those are some things that are being introduced into Congress now. The reason why the California Consumer Protection Act is important is because California is the 5th largest economy. And so most companies have a customer in California. The law does not say that you have to be in California as a business to comply. You have to have a customer in California, which is many, many companies. So now you actually can go on to many of these services and get access to your data yourself, but you wouldn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Exactly. So you can actually go on, download your data files. It varies from super simple. Google actually makes it very simple. Facebook makes it simple to, other companies making it a bit more complex to do, but you can go on and request your data. Now, when you get your data files, you are getting hundreds, if not thousands, of individual files.
Yeah,
yes. And so what can you do with that? Nothing, really.
Thank you, Angela. I was like, what can you do with it? Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So that's what we're building. So once someone actually has their data file, they can go to our consumer facing application and upload their data files. What we do on the back end is we actually have a pricing algorithm that we developed to price the data based on public company stock performance. This is important because other services that allow you to sell your data, you'll get $1 to $2 maybe a week. That's not impactful. But we know your data is impactful because billions of dollars are being made off of it, right?
Well, you know what, Angela, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize that. So there's services right now that you could just download. So I can go first download my data, and then I upload it somewhere, and then I'll get paid $1 to $2 per week for that data.
Yeah, and this is more popular. Somebody in here in the chat mentioned GDPR. It's more popular in the EU because they had GDPR. And so because the privacy laws had changed there's more of an ecosystem around businesses who are doing things around getting access to your data requests, data monetization. It doesn't really exist that much in the States. And because we don't have, a real federal data privacy law. So, so we know that your data is more than $1 a week because there's billions of dollars that's being made off of it. So what we're doing is we developed a proprietary algorithm that actually says no, your data is actually worth this amount. When you upload data to one of our platforms right now, the platform that we have out is Culture, CLTURE.io. When you go to Culture, any data that you upload to our platform, first of all, we say we give you a data license. We're the only company that does this. The data license says that you own your data, not Streamlytics. So when you sign up for Facebook, any system that you're on, you don't actually really own your data. They're just giving it access to you right now because they've been outed by a lot of people. You know what I mean? And this becomes important to give you guys context because I know data is kind of this big idea and it doesn't feel like it's connected to your daily life. Is, the last election cycle, the whole debacle with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica is important because consumer data was used on the Facebook platform to basically manipulate votes. So when I say manipulate votes, this is how they distributed very targeted propaganda. In addition to that, this is how, they targeted and co-opted, for instance, Black Lives Matter and sent protagonists out to marches. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people kind of understand what I'm talking about data, but it sometimes feels disconnected from, our everyday life.
Yeah.
But it's a huge part of our everyday life.
But this is, I mean, quite honestly, this is the most clear I've ever been on understanding what data we have, how we create data based on just simple movements, and then what we can now do with our data. And I love that you provide the license. But let me ask you this. So then if we then get we take our data, we get, upload our data to Culture, we then own that data set. How do we protect against all of the data that Facebook and Google and LinkedIn is continuously tracking on us? How do we protect against that?
You can't. You can't. There's no federal data privacy law. If you go to gotmydata.com, that's a part of what I'm doing. We have a petition. It has over 16,000 signatures. I sent a letter to Congress. I sent a letter to every member of the CBC, trying to inform people of the risks around not having a federal data privacy law, in particular, the risks of not having a law, especially in states of national emergency, which, was particularly alarming for me around COVID-19. And they started to do, or talk about doing mobile contact tracing, on your phone. It's like, okay, well, who owns that data?
Right. So, and I want to say this is the last several weeks, you have been your Instagram account is the first account that I go to.
Oh,
literally, because you were actually the only person I know that was really there's talking about the battle that's happening underneath, right? The micro nuance battle around the data.
Right.
Can you just speak to that just real quick, because it was alarming. I mean, It was alarming to see about the micro tracing, but quite honestly, and I know we're streaming on Facebook and all these platforms, but it was also alarming that you were bringing to the attention that, hey, you got Donald Trump making calls to Mark Zuckerberg out here. Like it like basically, Angela, you scared me. I was so scared. I would go to your account and even more freaked out. But talk a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into more of the your skills of building businesses.
Sure. What I've been talking about recently was facial recognition and the issues there. I try to be a spreader of information and truth, and sometimes that can be scary. I don't like to fearmonger, but I do think it's important for people to know and understand, what is actually going on. And so, when Mark Zuckerberg, who has a lot of power, is 3 billion people on Facebook, when he does not act in a manner of, someone who has 3 billion people on his platform and continues to allow misinformation to be spread through Trump and other political operatives that are basically exploiting his platform, that's a problem. And then you start to do research and you're like, oh, Facebook supported, his 2016 campaign, and you start to make connections around, what is actually happening. In addition to that, some of the stuff that's happening, there's a ton of great documentaries. I would definitely recommend everyone watch What the Hack on Netflix. It will give you a lot of deep information around Facebook in particular and how data has been used. There's also a great documentary on Amazon and how at the core of it, Amazon is actually, a data company. This is important because, when you look at facial recognition, many of these facial recognition companies are selling to police departments and law enforcement. This is an issue, particularly for the Black community, because facial recognition is not accurate for Black people. It misidentifies Black people. And so when you have, I'm laughing because it's like when you say it out loud, it doesn't make, like, why would anybody do this? But if facial recognition is not accurate and it clearly misidentifies Black people, then why are you selling to police departments who are going to use it and potentially continue to misidentify Black people who've already been, historically oppressed? You know what I mean? So, me spreading information, the ACLU, people have been fighting this fight for years. Just this week, IBM said that it's stopping their facial recognition program.
Yeah,
They're
great.
not selling. Amazon said that they're halting it for a year, which is not good enough. They need to stop selling it, period. And they need to actually remove all the data that has been sold before. And they need to make Ring Technologies, the Ring doorbell,
Right.
that everybody used, they need to not sell to police departments also.
I didn't even connect that. Like, you just think about the device, but that makes sense. They're tracking data.
Ring sells to police. That's who their customers are. Yes. And it's important because it's not just if you walk up and press the doorbell, they're not just getting that facial information. If you walk by on a sidewalk behind it, they're getting your face there. All of that is being sold.
Incredible.
And so this should not be allowed, which is why we need a federal data privacy law.
Right. And also, so in other words, either if you want to be scared to death, then go follow Angela right now on Instagram. Like, if you want to wake up every day freaked out, all right, then go follow her. All right. This is all amazing. But just because of the time, I want to shift now into the fact that, all right, clearly you know what you're talking about, right? Clearly you know what you're talking about. You have a track record. You're a veteran in the tech space.
Mm-hmm.
So what I find interesting is you were talking about earlier, you said when Google was telling you blah, 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 you were 30 years old, you didn't really feel like you had the voice that you now have. Now I feel like you're just not, like, you don't care. It's like, I'm gonna be reckless out here on the streets. So then tell us about why you felt the need to call out this VC firm just this past week.
To give folks some context, I had a pitch meeting with a VC in January, and it was great. And we had a follow-up meeting after that. It took some time to get the scheduling totally together. That's totally fine. Everybody's busy. We hopped on a second call, and it was night and day. And as a grown-ass Black woman, I don't have the tolerance, and I demand the respect to be treated a certain way. And what I experienced on that call with a white partner was completely dismissive. It was elitist. It was arrogant. As I'm giving my pitch and walking through demos of my product, I'm hearing, and because it's Zoom, I can see him, there's huffing and puffing, and he's waving me to go like that to advance to, and not even complete what I was saying, to advance to, another part of the pitch and of the demo. And I don't really have to stand for that. And when you're going through something like that in a professional setting, it doesn't really register what's happening until after. And so I was wondering why my energy was off after the call. And so I sat with it for a day. I talked to some friends who I know that are VCs just to gut check, am I crazy? Am I being sensitive? You know what I mean? And they were like, no, that's like, fucked up. And so at that moment in time, I realized, wow, first of all, the old Angela pre-cancer wouldn't have said anything, because I've seen a lot of stuff in Silicon Valley and I haven't said anything. That's what the old Angela would have done. But fast forward to 2020, we can see where that's led. Yes, Kimberly, it was gaslighting and manipulation, 1000%. So fast forward to 2020, we see where that's led, where nothing has changed. And I really just questioned myself. I'm like, this is a moment where I can actually say something back, because nothing changed when I never said anything before when I was in Silicon Valley. So why not say something now? Because based off that last call, you don't have anything to lose, because they're not going to invest anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how I was explaining stuff or my pitch or anything. None of that really mattered. He had made up his mind that they were not going to invest anyway.
Right.
And that came across. So now I'm in a position to say, you know, what choice do I want to make that's, you know, for the betterment of other people who come behind me? So I sent them an email and I said, you know, hey, thanks for the call. Based on our last call, I don't think this is a good cultural fit for Streamlytics. So we're going to pass on any investment from you. This is important because, you know, as an entrepreneur and founder, a lot of times we're in moments in, I guess, emotional states of feeling like we're always asking for something.
Yeah.
Like, but what we're doing is, and we do have to ask for stuff, right? But we have to be mindful who we give our power away to. Right. And we also have to be mindful that it's a choice when we give our power away. Right. And so in that moment, I took my power back because I can say, no, I don't want your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And it was transformational for me as a, you know, entrepreneur. I felt automatically, I felt light. You know what I mean? Because now it wasn't heavy and I can shift my focus to other things, because at the end of the day, what it equated to was that I stood up for myself, you know? So in the email, I told them that we're going to pass on the investment. And here's why. I think you're elitist. Your behavior on the call and your demeanor towards me was inappropriate. I did not appreciate it. I also CC'd the owner of the fund on there, because she apparently is supposed to be a champion for equality and women's rights and Me Too. And I spoke to her directly in it. And I said, you know, I would expect more from a firm that's led by this person. You're someone that I looked up to. You know what I mean? And so then I left it at that. The reply back that I got from the white male partner was typical Silicon Valley response. I'm so sorry that you felt this way. I felt like we were talking past each other. Nah, we wasn't talking past each other. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. You know what I mean? We were not talking past each other.
Right.
So, and then his takeaway was, you know, he's going to do some self-reflecting and whatever, see how I can do better. Now, full stop. This is important that I'm telling you this, because this happened in January. And all too often, you know, I let it breathe. I just didn't want to put any more energy into it. I was like, cool, let it breathe. Went about my life. But when, you know, George Floyd and Black Lives Matter sparked all of these statements from companies around the world, VCs included, and I saw the statement from them around, this is what we're going to do to make sure Black founders, blase, blase, blah, and stop. Because I had this issue with you. Both of the leadership was CC'd on it. Yeah. And when all of this happened, you didn't think. So first of all, it's not like, and this is why this is important that we hold people accountable, because that's part of the reason why I sent the email. Because if we as Black people don't start to hold people accountable and say, you know what, you did this and this is why it's wrong, then we don't give ourselves an option to hold people accountable down the line. Had I never sent that email, if I were to come back publicly and say, well, this was my experience, blah, 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 it may have come off as complaining, or, you know, another Black person complaining that they were mistreated or whatever. No, I did it privately at first. You know what I mean? That was 6 months ago. So y'all had 6 months to come back and say something to me, and you didn't. You also had time between the time that all the statements were being released around Black Lives Matter and George Floyd to actually come back and say, you know what, we did have this incident with Angela Benton, and let us revisit that. But no, what they decided to do was go public, just like a lot of other companies, with these statements. And so The reason why I made it public is because people need to know that. People need to know that I sent an email to let them know how I felt like I was mistreated. And their first response was not to take a look at the mirror and say, how can we do better? Their first response was to do something external for clout. So you actually don't care about Black Lives Matter, because if you did, your first thought would have been to reply back to me.
Right.
And there's been some other developments actually as of the past 24 hours, because this is an ongoing dialogue that I've been having with this particular VC, where, you know, I don't want to say I've made demands, because I don't view them as demands. I've educated them on what they need to do right. This has nothing to do with me or Streamlytics, because I would never take a dime for them. You can't make an investment in Streamlytics at this point. But here's what you can do.
Right.
Specifically.
Right.
And I'm going to educate you. And I sent a very long email, and I took the time and the emotional energy to do that, not for me, but for everyone else. And, you know, I gave them 24 hours to respond. And if they don't, then I'm gonna be back on Twitter.
There you go. So you just encapsulated why I'm so hopeful about the future for us, for our kids, because you basically think about what you did, right? You basically recognized your value.
Yeah.
You recognized your worth. And by simply recognizing that, you then shifted the power dynamic, where now you're like, look, I'm not going to take your money, and you have 24 hours to get back to me.
Yeah. Because they wanted to get on a phone call. The latest thing was, you know, after I sent my email, you know, I know you spend a lot of time. Do you mind getting on a phone call? Sure. After you reply back to each one of my points, because you're not going to try to take this offline. You're not going to try to have undocumented conversations with me. You're not going to try to offer me money. That's not, I don't care. Like, no, that's not what's happening. You know what I mean? And so it's important that we take the experiences that we've all gained being entrepreneurs, being in corporate America, because at this point, we can't say that we don't understand the game. We all understand the game, but now let's play it, and let's not be scared to play it.
Right. Now, one, I think, tool we have, especially as Black entrepreneurs, and you alluded to this, actually, you didn't allude to it. You just straight up said it in your post about this on Instagram. At the very end, your last line was like, my Reg CF is getting ready to pop anyway. So it
I don't care.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So for everybody, so everyone who watches Better with Paul should be familiar. We've talked about this before, crowdfunding for equity, but just break that down, because I also believe Streamlytics will have the hottest crowdfunding. I mean, I'm in, like, I'm in at the max, right? Yeah. So just break down, why is that such an important tool, right? And then when can we and how can we jump into yours?
Yeah. So Reg CF, Reg A Plus, these are all fundraising tools that allow you to raise money from the public. And they're extremely powerful, because it allows you to shift the power to what you can control. You can't really control if an investor is going to want to invest in you. It's a lot of other dynamics that they're looking at. It's a lot of other, things, biased and unbiased, decisions that they're making on if they're going to make an investment in you. But what's very powerful about the ability to raise money from the public is you really shift that power back to yourself, which is incredibly important. And so now you have a bit more control over, well, if I put this level of effort, then this is going to be the outcome, where that's unbalanced currently right now. I think in the venture capital community, it doesn't matter the level of effort. It doesn't matter your credibility. It doesn't matter your track record. And that's also, why I decided to do a Reg CF. My original plan was actually to do a Reg A Plus, which allows you to raise 50 million at the max. With my previous business, NewMe, I already helped people raise over $47 million. So it's not like I'm a novice. Like, I understand the game. I understand how to raise money. I understand what comes with that. And so, you know, for me, it was really more about, where do I want to put my energy? Do I still want to have conversations like the one that I had, you know, in January with the VC, or do I want to put my energy into allowing the public to invest, which, by the way, me allowing the public to invest is now also giving the Black community an opportunity to invest and participate in the wealth that's created in the technology industry, which doesn't happen. And so there's a lot of value there, as well, for me particularly, because I know what we're doing is going to be successful. And now, you know, I can also help move some of that value directly back into Black communities. And so, you know, I know Dawn Dixon, from when, you know, I guess before it was called Popcom and it was still just solutions vending. She came and spent some time in Silicon Valley very, very early on. And so I've been tracking what she's doing, and I'm extremely proud of her, you know, as an advisor. And what makes me most proud about Dawn is her resolve to do things her own way.
Yeah,
You know?
this is fact.
Yeah. And, you know, I had another company, Brian Burkeen, who was doing, he did, it was a security token offering, but he raised money from the public too. He raised 30 million. And he was from my 2012 NewMe cohort. He's now moving on he's a managing director at Lightship Capital. But what's important about, you know, all of this is, you know, I've seen, like Brian showed me the bank account. I seen the 30 million in there. And I was like,
I've literally seen the receipts.
Yeah, I saw the receipts. So you can focus on your business and get this level of support for people, you know what I mean? And so, you know, while I don't necessarily recommend security token offerings at this point, and that was a bit too risky for me, the idea with raising money from the public in an equity fashion was not. Now, I will say, when I first started Streamlytics, my goal was to raise a small pre-seed and then move on to do a Reg A plus. And when I was talking to investors about it, it was honestly too risky for them.
Okay.
And it was too risky because all of the stuff that we're doing. So they're processing it like, okay, so she's trying to help people. Wait a second, she's trying to help people get access to their data. She's trying to help people. She's paying people for their data, and then she also wants to raise money for. It's all of these different, very transformational things that I was trying to do. And so what I made the decision to do was to remove the Reg A plus piece and try to raise money traditionally. And we did raise a pre-seed, but honestly, when I started to get deeper into seed conversations, I'm just exhausted. I don't want to spend my energy talking to people who don't understand my value, or talking to people who are saying that, you know, your valuation of 20 million is, I don't know, it's too high, when these white boys got $100 million valuation, $305 million valuation for the same type of data business. Like, no.
Yeah. And also too, Angela, real quick on that is, how many hours, when you were in that pre-seed, how many hours were you allocating? Because I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs understand how much time you have to allocate to raising capital versus operating your business. So how long was it?
So first of all, I put a lot of my own money. I put about $100,000 into Streamlytics, because I didn't want to. A lot of the decisions that I make now as an executive and an entrepreneur are directly reflected from the personal lessons that I learned while I was going through cancer.
Okay.
And so I wanted to nurture my own creativity. allow myself to breathe creatively and build and explore, because as Black people, we are not able to do that. It's always the hustle. You know what I mean? It's always, what do you want to do next? And I wanted to just be creative and explore this thing intellectually around data. I did that for a year and a half.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I put my own money in, and I got other people to put money in at the pre-seed level. You know, I didn't try to hire fast. I didn't flex on Instagram. I didn't do, you know, all of that stuff. I was quiet. And most people know, who followed me before, they noticed the period that I was quiet.
Yeah, I noticed it.
You know what I mean?
But I was like, she's in the kitchen like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was so, you know, a year and a half worth of time.
Okay. Yeah. See, it's a lot. Also, I know in that, this is a big thing that pops up. I think now every time you put in your name, you see Issa Rae's name pop up now as well. Mm-hmm. How did that come about? Because a lot of folks watching are entrepreneurs, and they do want to kind of secure that high level influencer, thought leader to help shepherd their business. So how did you make that connection happen?
So, Paul, you may remember this, but I know Issa from BlackWeb 2.0 days.
Yeah.
You know, there were not a lot of Black people online doing stuff. It was a handful of us.
It was about five.
About five of us.
Yeah.
So that's how I know.
This, I remember when Wayne Sutton was on the first page of Twitter. Like, that's how back in the day I remember. But yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of us. And so I think a lot of people discount relationships. I think a lot of people put value in relationships in regards to, what can you do for me right now to get to, you know, whatever point you're trying to get to. And, you know, Issa and I have a mutual respect for each other. We're not BFFs. We don't talk, you know, every day, you know what I mean? But I think we have a very deep, unspoken respect for one another. We know each other for, you know, a long time. And I don't even think people don't remember this, but you know, Issa actually even raised money from the public. This was when crowdfunding first came out. This was like the first wave of like podcasts. It was all of this stuff that's happening right now, podcasts and crowd. This is kind of a resurgence. But Issa had did some stuff around there too. And so I had came to LA to catch up with Issa. She had been following my work with NewMe. She's always been supportive. We did a live on NewMe. I had built a live streaming platform. And she was on there, you know, so Issa's an authentic person. She's always been, you know, about how she can help her people in the community. And that comes across in everything that she does. And so when I came to LA, we caught up, was telling her what I was doing with Streamlytics. And she was like, this is dope. I want to be down. You know what I mean? And so the relationship, her involvement with Streamlytics, while it was a conversation, it was a conversation, you know, after 10 years of mutual respect and, you know, conversations. And, you know, I didn't know this person for a year. I didn't know her for 6 months. You know what I mean?
Right. It was a relationship. Like, it wasn't a Facebook connection, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yes. You know what's crazy? The hour's up.
Wow.
Like can you believe that? The hour the hour is up. And what's even crazier is I just looked down at my notes. We covered everything that I wanted to cover, which is really good. But now there was one question you didn't fully answer. Okay. And I saw at least 5 people ask about this.
Okay.
How can we get in to your equity crowdfund raise? How can we invest?
You know, I have, so because this is a public platform, per SEC guidelines, you know, you can't really say that, hey, come invest in my company. And so that's not what I'm doing during this conversation. But what I can say is I have a link, actually, that I can share. Actually, I think I can post it in here.
Yeah, I'll post it up too.
I have a link that I can share. And what we're doing with this link is we're allowing people to privately enter in their expressed interest to learn about future fundraising activities for Streamlytics. Boom. Hope that was PC enough.
Okay, I see. Okay, I got it.
And so it's a very short form. All you do is fill out, your email address so that we can get in contact with you first. We were actually supposed to announce our campaign earlier, but honestly, I wanted to wait just because of everything that was happening in the world. And then I just think it's disingenuous to be like, hey, invest in this company. This is my new company, when a lot of the funds should go to supporting, bailout organizations and supporting families. You know what I mean? So I decided to hold off on that. But I just sent you the link, Paul. We will be announcing it to the public very soon. But before we announce it to the public, the people that are on this list to the link that I just shared with you, we're actually letting these folks know first. So if you'd like to be in early and first, fill out the link. We'll be sending out the campaign page privately to you guys on that list first.
All right. I just posted that. What's funny is while you were talking, I saw 3 people say, but I don't see the link. Where's the link? Hold on. Yeah, look at that. So everybody can see the link. All right, here, there it is. Everybody can see the link. Angela, I got to respect your time. I want to make sure that I close you out. Thank you. Thank you for being you. Right. One of the things that I will never forget, right, and this is just real talk, is I remember when you had announced that you had cancer, and it hit me, and I went through that quote of, it's always like the greatest ones, it's always the greatest ones that we know get strucken with with the biggest issues. But you fought through. You survived, right? And you're better for it.
Yes.
And because you're better for it, we're better for it.
Right? Which
goes to show, everything has purpose. Everything has meaning.
1000%.
Yeah. And you're just incredibly special. You blessed all of us. All of us. You blessed.
You.
And we'll all be going to this link right here.
Okay. And then I'll send you guys an email then.
Yeah, there we go. But thank you very much. Anything that you want to say in closing?
That's it. You can check out streamlytics.co, at Streamlytics on Twitter and Instagram. The consumer facing application, if you're interested in actually uploading your data, getting it valued and getting paid for it, that's culture, CLTURE.io, at Culture Capital on Instagram and Twitter. You guys have the link if you're interested in, I think a unique opportunity to basically be a co-investor with Issa Rae.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
All right. Good stuff. Everyone is in. Everyone, I'm telling you, everyone is in on this one. So that's it. You're already closed out. You're oversubscribed. Just like that. Because you're capped at 1 million, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But we're going to do the first 250. And then I'm going to raise it to 1 million. And so again, the link that I'll send out to people, if you fill out this link, you guys are going to be first in, basically.
Okay. Oh, so you're only doing 250
first. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. So you definitely have to get in. All right. Yeah. Done.
Yep.
All right. Angela Benton. There she goes, everybody. Angela, thank you so much.
No problem. This was great. Really fun, Paul. Thank you.
Good stuff. All right. Love you. Take care.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys. There she goes. Now, was that or was that not special? That honestly, that was another one of those sessions where I just felt like I was in the audience. I was jumping off of camera and I was trying not to really look in the comments. I was just trying to be in the moment. I think it was incredible. I think it was incredible. I want to say that I am going to have a good time recapping this session. I do all these recaps, so make sure that you are on the newsletter here for the recaps. I will be sending out the next recap. I just sent out the recap this week on building the multi-million-dollar business. I'll send out the recap next week on economic power. And then I'll make sure that we get this recap queued up next, so you get this right out the gate. But I see everyone commenting about how special this was. This one just like felt good in my soul. And I tell you what, this is one thing just to tell you, because I like to, not hold back anything. I like to be very transparent, because I know a lot of you are creating content yourself. I think the beauty or the importance of creating good content. We talk about level, I talk a lot about level 2, level 3, level 4 content, but good content is, you have to fully know the pain point. I always go back to, you have to know the pain point of your avatar, who it is that watches you, who's in your community. You have to know that pain point, and you have to figure out first what the pain point is, and then think about the people who can best address the pain point. What I see so many content creators do, especially when they have shows and they're doing interviews, is they just try to pick people that have big platforms or the biggest platform possible and say, oh, let me interview you. And then they just kind of shove that content into their community. Instead, really know what the pain point is of your community. Know what it is, and then do everything humanly possible to solve that pain point. Even if that means you have to throw out your current idea. I had a completely different idea for today's session. On Monday, I was talking about this special guest that I had. Actually, I'll tell you, I'll be 3,000% with you. The special guest today, it was going to be my wife, Jill. Jill was going to be the special guest today. And as I was reading, and by the way, stalking, because I talk about how I stalk a lot of you. I read all the comments. I go to your pages, right? I read everything. I try to consume everything. I saw how this question around, are a lot of these companies just throwing up platitudes? Are they just performing? I'm frustrated. I don't know. Should I be holding people accountable? All of that was coming up. And so I immediately switched on a dime. Like I think this is maybe just 40 hours in the making of me then reaching out to Angela to do this. And I always do a temperature check with you all, which I appreciate, but then I also have to do a temperature check with me. Because if I'm not passionate about this, I shouldn't be doing it. If I don't feel good about this, I shouldn't be doing it. And at the end of, I will say, this is our 27th session. At the end of each one of these 27 sessions, honest to God, I feel good. Like, I feel good. I feel like this is ministry. With Angela, with everything she just blessed us with, I feel good about that, right? And I think it's very important. It actually speaks to what she was talking about. She just gave herself a year to be in her company, and it's not about the hustle. It's not about flexing on IG and flexing on social. Like, not everybody, but so many people like to show their ideas. No, you hold your ideas dear. You hold them dear. You work on them. Your ideas, it's art, right? You're creating art. And then when you're ready, on your time, you show that. And so I just want to say thank you. Let me go back. My sis right here said, look at this. My sis Nakia is saying this was awesome. I appreciate that. Like James Brown, feel good. There you go. My sis Kemi, there you go. LinkedIn user. By the way, LinkedIn user, I see you show up every time. I don't see your name, but I see you show up, and I appreciate you for showing up. I see Marsha Ann. I see it. My sis Christine talking about ministry. So guys, I will see you on Monday. Last thing that I want to say real quick about Monday, just so you know, is Monday is about you all. Okay. Monday is about you all. I will post on Sunday. I'll post about how to pitch. But right now, the best way you could prepare is just get ready. 90-second pitch on your business, and you will be able to pitch your need. And it could be a full business that you have. It could be an idea that you have. You could be an individual, right? And you just want to pitch yourself and say, hey, I would love to be the co-founder of a company, right? This is going to be an opportunity for us all as a community to connect deeper and share our resources with each other, right? So I'm very excited about it. Very, very excited about it. Pitch day is coming. All right, guys, you take care. I will see you. Have a phenomenal weekend. I love you all, and I'm out. You know what? I decided to pop back on. I see that here's the fascinating thing. You know, we have 200 people still watching after I already closed it out. 200 people just to say goodbye to everybody. This is the most incredible community I have seen. I love the love. I love the love that you all have shown each other. I love the respect you all have shown each other. It's another thing that makes me feel good. So I just wanted to jump on real quick at the very end and tell you all that. All right, I'm out. Take care. All right. I swear I'm not going to keep doing this. But here's the thing. We still have 100 people just hanging on. Like, I think that's incredible just to say goodbye, or maybe just to see if I would keep popping back up. But I promise this is it. No more encores. You guys have a blessed weekend. I had to do it for you. Chizzy, I had to do it for you because you said, are you coming back? I saw that. So I had to come back for you. All right. You guys take care. I'm out. For real this time. Bye-bye.